So here we go, game number 3 of this 1v1 semi-final of the casuals bracket of the winter tournament between Twodback and Jim Bob the Mighty. It is game number 3, so it means we're tied at 1 game apiece. And joining me for this one is Philothanic, and again we have a chem colony and a high chem starting price.
Yeah, we also have a really low steel price. We'll see if players from this tournament have learned their lesson not to found and immediately start producing steel. There is a potential for a scavenger spot just to the right of the colony. You have some adjacent, not next to each other, and Twodback is going to go for that. Taking the high and the medium split. That should be just enough carbon to see him through. It'll be a little bit less than you would prefer.
Yeah, 3.5, and that non-adjacency is a big deal. He'll get 3.5 a second, which is only just more than having 2 adjacent lows, even though those tiles by themselves are very good. No nukes this game, though, so reasonably safe to do that. Jim Bob founding on the eastern side. He's gone immediately for a silicon quarry. We're going to see, I mean, we're presumably not going to see any early power shenanigans here, because power started at $20. That would be pretty marginal.
I do not know what Jim Bob is doing right now. He's going into 2 steel mills, which on HQ2 in a 1v1 is when you do start going onto steel mills when the steel price is low. Otherwise, you'll just drive the price up too high. So that's fine. Going into double metal mines and double elemental quarries.
It's all just a little bit awkward, isn't it? I don't really know what to make of this.
The problem is the long term. What are you going to do with those 3 tiles away from the base? Not to mention, right now, if Twodback just decided to sell down a little bit, pick up a 3k power surge your steel mills.
Yeah, you could do that. Twodback made an interesting decision, though, going to 3 water pumps. I wonder whether he was just doing that while he decided what to do, or while he got the carbon to get these chem refineries up and running. They're going to be pretty profitable in the short term. $100, although that is going to die, I think, pretty quickly. And yeah, Jim Bob trying to punish that as best he can, buying into that fuel market and trying to render those chem refineries unprofitable. But even so, they're going to be pretty good for a while.
Yes. Both players picking up a bribe claim, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, you are not mistaken.
To not use the offensive black market. Jim Bob going into a single black magic glass kiln, and Twodback using it
black magic tile, isn't it?
To round out his carbon.
Or his chems, yeah. I mean, he's now getting 4.5, and yeah, there's the freeze. And if the 2 chem refineries weren't tempting enough, a third, certainly very, very tempting for Jim Bob to just freeze those out, and they're going to be down for a long time. So difficult, really, for Twodback to make any money. He probably is going to be able to get to the upgrade. He's got enough oxygen in his inventory to be able to get to the upgrade, I think. Yeah, only barely, but he is. And he still hasn't finished collecting the carbon yet, so he's going to have that upgrade really soon. He's certainly ahead of Jim Bob, who is still some significant distance from... I say that, he's not, because electronics are cheap. He might be okay.
He does have the electronics he needs for the upgrade. He's moving into 2 solar panels. Both solar panels are low elevation, so only produce 0.9 power a second without the adjacency bonus.
Oof. Yeah, it all just feels a little bit awkward for Jim Bob, doesn't it? He certainly committed pretty heavily into that silicon. And I guess that was his plan all along, just going into those solar panels, a kind of pseudo-power robot. But again, he's not really going to be making any money at all from this power situation right now.
Especially
he's in 20k of debt.
Wins this auction,
yeah, if he wins
for
this,
18k,
which just did.
He did.
I mean, that might be okay. 18k for an auction at this point in the game feels reasonable. Oh, the dust storm is not going to be helpful, though.
Just as Twodback starts to put down what I assume is going to be a wind turbine.
Yeah, you are right. It is certainly going to be a wind turbine, so he needs to protect that.
His black market cooldown is up. He does have just enough cash to buy it.
Yeah, if he sells down the carbon, I imagine he wants a second wind turbine. No, yeah, he does.
Does go for a second wind turbine. Needs to sell.
Yeah, thanks
Bit like
RNG,
this.
says Twodback. Absolutely.
Owns it.
The random number generator in his favor on this occasion. The dust storm, super, super helpful. Maybe it is a pass to power, who knows. Jim Bob's caught up though in terms of cash and resources. Does have that single slightly awkward tile. He doesn't seem to quite know what to do with that one. I wonder what it's going to be.
Why
Can't imagine it's going to be a pattern lab.
Claim next to it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a curious tile, isn't it, that one?
I mean,
yeah, Jim Bob's saying this is really bad.
It's not really bad. I mean, okay, Jim Bob does have water coming in. He does have glass, so he could have gone into 2 farms. Well, he does go into 2 farms next to each other.
Dust storm, though.
It is a dust storm. Might have been better to go for the electrolysis reactors, as steel is really cheap. And
so what's the power situation? So the crucial thing here for Twodback is whether he's going to be able to make... Oh, and the boost as well.
Yes, he will.
Might be... Yeah, I mean, it's gonna... Yeah, and there's the dynamite. The dynamite feels a little bit weird. I'm not sure about that.
I mean,
I guess he needed to do it. I mean, the power price would have just died.
To.
Yeah,
this
maybe.
At least will keep Twodback maybe from paying off all his debt.
Yeah, and with this high fuel price, he's getting a bunch of debt from that as well. So he's gaining, or he's losing $300 of power debt a second, but he's gaining 100 of that back with the fuel. So slightly awkward for him.
But Twodback is moving out of the chems, deciding that there's enough fuel debt for him. Going into triple water, which I imagine is a transitory move until he decides what he's actually going to do with
I would imagine it's going to get him a bit of money. They're pretty good.
A little bit of money, 51 fuel water right now, so these are not insignificant. The biggest money makers on the map currently. Those water pumps.
Yeah, there's a couple of interesting claims from Jim Bob I want to point out. Well, the one in particular is the high carbon all the way across the map. That he's paying, or he was paying, a decent amount of money to ship in. Those players get to the upgrade though. Twodback did make a little bit of power money, but honestly not very much. Power down at $30, and certainly not enough to swing the game for Twodback in terms of the amount of power money that he made. Both players about even in terms of cash and resources. The only real advantage that Twodback has in terms of what he has right now is no debt compared to the 70,000 that Jim Bob has, which he's going to have to at least keep an eye on for the next couple of HQ levels.
Yes, he will need to keep an eye on that. Twodback going into all life support all the time. Just, okay, there he goes. Yep. Put some friends out for that black magic tile. Deciding to power surge the electrolysis, Jim Bob's electrolysis reactors.
Yep, trying to keep him out of that market. Completely reasonable. And Twodback is going to make a lot of money from those reactors. Although a bunch of it he's going to have to pay off his debt with instead, or his fuel surplus. Although he's not shipping in very much. I guess now that he's gone out of chems, he's not using much fuel at all. And yeah, Jim Bob decides wants to shut that down, which he does, and that seems completely reasonable. Jim Bob making more money at the moment, though.
This adrenaline boost is interesting. I guess
I guess it's okay. Well, no, it's not okay, because food. What is this adrenaline boost? It's really terrible. Like, food's at $60.
It won't make Twodback any money really from it.
I guess it crashes. Yeah, it crashes the food price to the point where Jim Bob's not really making any money at all either. So I mean, I guess.
How much did he pay for that boost?
Yeah,
4K?
that's not. Yeah, and was that "damn, this is too much"? Was that from? Oh no, that was before the boost, so he wasn't talking about that in
I'm
chat.
I'm not sure what that was in response to. I think the glass surplus.
Jim Bob in a hacker array. I wonder what he's looking at as a market that he wants to hack. Nothing queued up at the moment. There are a couple of potentials. Any of those advanced markets, maybe the electronics or something like that, might be a good money maker for him if he can do that. But again, the freeze comes down, and that's going to be a freeze on the hacker array as well.
Neither player
Worthless.
wanting the other player to make any money on life support.
Yeah, well, I mean that's pretty much the only price right now, isn't it? These
Chems are
reactors.
right back up again, but you still need fuel.
Well, I mean they're still not that good. Yeah, they're still not that good because the fuel price is so high.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult to really justify moving into chems at this point. Even with adjacency, they're only going to be making sort of 50 or so per tile. So it really is the electrolysis reactors. They're making almost 200. And yeah, Jim Bob deciding to split his electrolysis reactors. He's got 2 in the north, 2 in the west. To that, though, is all the way up already to that HQ5.
Also splitting his reactors.
Yeah, he's doing exactly the same thing. As we said, that's pretty much the only market. Both players do have the water to support it, so it's pretty much whoever can get into that market first
Glass
without being shut
also
down.
a potential you could go in as a secondary market.
Yep, it's pretty good right now. Certainly for Jim Bob, it's pretty good. He's got the silicon production to support it, so maybe we'll see that as well at some point. Jim Bob, how far is he from the upgrade? He's still some way from the upgrade. Unfortunately, it's an expensive upgrade for him.
Only 2 steel mills.
Yeah, and he's selling all his steel down as well.
All the steel down.
Which, I mean, Jim Bob obviously not using steel because he's a scavenger, but even so, difficult for him.
Twodback now transitioning out of electronics into chems, which now make a decent 65, although part of that's because Jim Bob just bought almost 100.
Yeah, chems pretty good right now. Is that what Jim... No, Jim Bob's hacking iron. That's pretty sensible. Twodback obviously not in iron. Jim Bob is, so he's going to make a little bit of money from this. Not a huge amount, honestly. Down at 20, but all of those iron are not going to be... Like, there's going to be a lot of iron still there that are only going to be $1, even with the price boost temporarily, but multiple iron hacks might be worthwhile.
Twodback deciding that he wants to go off-world. The prices are okay, not as great as last game, but nothing, not bad either. 38, 48k profit a launch.
And again, it's not just the raw profit here, but it's the fact that this food launch is so sustainable for Twodback. Got the water production, got the food production. Is going to be able to make that easily. So he's going to be able to get good profits from those off-worlds. That's pretty much going to be $500 food that he's going to be making, which is very profitable indeed. Is this claim really going to go unclaimed? It is. That makes me a little bit sad.
That was clearly a mistake. At least try and pick it up for 5k.
Jim Bob again with that cash, but does have the upgrade if he wants it. But again, he's using this iron hack to reasonable effect right now. Again, just not making a whole lot of money from that though. That wasn't a lot of money that he made, certainly.
No, it wasn't a terribly large amount. The thing he's making the most money with on world right now is those 2 chems at 85 a tile and falling as he's selling those down.
Yeah, it's I mean, it is sustainable for him, but there's not that much chem demand. It is a European colony, but even so, with the 4 chem labs, none have been added. It's a small colony in general, and that's contributing to this whole situation you see on the left-hand side of your screen with these double-digit prices pretty much across the board. Very few profitable markets right now.
Twodback is floating a lot of water.
Yep, he is. He's getting a lot in. He can rotate those tiles whenever he wants to, so I think it's probably okay. But yeah, there just aren't any prices right now. It's really difficult for both of our players. Jim Bob. So Jim Bob's gone again with a low price environment. He's gone into the optimization center, and this feels like a mistake. It's a very low value optimization center. Not really able to do very much with it. He's not doing anything at all with it at the moment, but really it's only glass that's worth making for him.
Twodback doesn't really mind this power surge too much with his 850 stockpile of water. It means he can't use these tiles for something else. But also decided to rotate out of his boosted patent lab into a patent lab next to his base.
Yeah, and he's putting a hacker array down at the colony as well. So I wonder what he's wanting to do. He's trying to surplus the silicon, but that's
Jim
only
just
a...
bought into silicon and network virus. Twodback's
Oh,
glass kiln's
that
going for the
again,
exact same
wow.
move as last time, and going into the glass as Twodback without literally any silicon production was a very greedy move on his part.
Yep,
and is now always going to be punished.
Yep, seriously punished. That's going to be a lot, and the silicon surplus is going to be much too little, much too late. The game deciding that what it really wants to see is something get nuked.
Action.
So again, difficult to perhaps value this nuke. It's pretty valuable. There are certainly potential targets for both players to go after here. There's some vulnerable silicon.
Careful, because he's in speed debt.
Yeah, he is. He needs to keep a very close eye on that. And again, with a low-price environment, really difficult for our players.
Thinking that he maybe paid too much for that nuke. We'll see what he decides to nuke Twodback. Twodback is going into slant drilling. Which
they're going to have some protection. I wonder if that's a knee-jerk against the nuke.
Because that really helps him with carbon, water, and aluminum.
Oh, does Jim Bob have the money to finish this? He's close. He's very close.
He is very close. Twodback needs to cancel out of his slant drilling, which he does.
Twodback is some distance away, at least 40,000 away from being able to defend himself. Jim Bob, also pretty close. Just needs to see him over the line here. I'm not sure he's making enough money, though. That's the issue for Jim Bob. Not making very much money at all.
On Terror's fuel in a desperate Twodback's fuel in a last desperate attempt to save himself. Right now, there's a 1K difference between the two players. Twodback finally able to get out of those glass kilns.
And he's trying to. Does he have the money to transition? Surely he has the money to transition something. This boost is interesting on these electrolysis reactors. It's a little bit. There's not a whole lot there. Chems are not making it. Look at these prices. They're so dead. The only thing that's in triple figures is in electronics. We still only have a size 10 colony. That is one of the reasons why.
So Twodback deciding to turn around and network virus Jim Bob's steel mills, which are now losing him money, not nearly as much.
But Jim Bob is making some amount of money. He does have that iron stockpile as well. So Twodback with a last-ditch desperation network virus on the steel mills. But again, Jim Bob, even with the valuable iron, isn't going to mine too much. It's not the real price of iron. Oh, and the shortage! That might be it. That shortage might be it. 27k. He's got stockpiles of all of those things. And he's almost there. 94%. Again, Twodback just scrambling, but he's a long way away. Has the 100% now. Is he going to realize and sell everything down? Needs to cancel that hack.
Well, if he didn't realize there, Twodback saying very nicely done might give him the indication.
Bidding closed.
Jim Bob.
Yep, I think so. Jim Bob does have the money if he sells everything down.
The red button is there.
Red button.
He takes it.
That is our series, folks. Jim Bob is into the final of the Casuals tournament, the Casuals bracket, 1v1, relegating Twodback to the third place game. And a very close fought series between these two players. It looked for a long time like Twodback might have the advantage, but just as he hit HQ5, those prices just absolutely died. There are no prices.
They absolutely died, and then he went chasing after the glass market with no silicon production, no silicon stockpiled, and Jim Bob just able to punish Twodback for those choices.
And that pretty much was the game, wasn't it? That was a huge benefit to him. Got him a lot of money from that silicon because it appreciated in value, of course, as Twodback consumed it, and it lost Twodback so much money. Always a risky thing to do if you don't have control of the primary resource or enough of the primary resource to support that glass. You really need to have a backup plan in case something like that happens, particularly with network virus on the black market, and particularly with a player as opportunistic as Jim Bob in using those network viruses. Very well played from him, and a very, very well-deserved win in a close-fought series.
Yeah, Jim Bob able to extract 30k out of Twodback with that network virus play. Also, with his Silicon plays, made 31k himself.
Yeah, wow, Twodback buying 32,000 worth of silicon just while those glass kilns were operational. Really, really good play from Jim Bob. And that sees him through to the final. So this is what our bracket looks like now. We have Jim Bob in the final against the winner of the game between me and Ich bin ein Konto. And the third place game will be between Twodback and the loser of that second semi-final, which I think we're going to try and play one of these weeknights. I did get a message from Konto asking me when I wanted to play. I think it's too late this weekend, but I imagine it will be one of these weeknights coming up. So
a bit late for you.
Getting right
European
towards the end of this
players.
tournament. Yeah, it's
Going
midnight
the
now
other
here,
one.
so fair enough.
Jim Bob asking why did I never short silicon? Yes, they're, you know, the good thing about these games is, and pretty much almost any game in Offworld, is there's always something that you could improve on your play. Sometimes it's blatantly obvious, sometimes less obvious, but
Yeah, absolutely, and certainly all of us that are involved in these tournaments will attest to that. Any game that you play, there are always going to be some plays that you miss or some things that you don't do well. Certainly true of me, and it's true of both of these players as well. But Jim Bob just about managing to take it up. It was a really, really close series. Both players playing the maps pretty well, I think. And God, that last game, again, size 11 colony in the middle of Sol 7, and we just had dead prices for basically the last 2 days. It's not very often you see that.
no. No, and unfortunately for Twodback, he was setting himself up to take advantage of those dead onboard prices with his thinking machines, and just, as we said, too greedy with the
Why he just never got what he needed in terms of and particularly the electronics as well, because electronics did stay high, and Twodback was in electronics, but again, just that cost of getting the Offworld up, and he never really had anything like the carbon that he needed either. And we mentioned the low carbon in terms of the start here for Twodback. It was a low carbon game. Chems were in demand because of the Colony 2, so that raised the price some more, and 3.5 carbon a second it isn't going to get it done at that point in the game. You need more than that consistently if you want to get those Offworlds up in any kind of time, because they cost 600 carbon, and even with this low price environment, an Offworld for Twodback at this point would have been over $100,000.
Yeah, he needed that third carbon tile that he had for...
And something else that we didn't mention, actually, with this game as well. Jim Bob was in a bunch of debt. Those interest ticks were catching up to him. And again, with a low price environment, no real opportunity to pay that off. So he was kind of on a clock here. So props to him for recognizing that, not taking the HQ5 upgrade, and instead making do with what he had at HQ4. It's not as though he could have gone into too many more claims that were any sort of profitable at all with those extra claims you get for upgrading. So props to him for recognizing that and finishing the game at 4 instead.